Hello, this is Gene. I want to talk about something that you hear all the time called being red pilled or the red pill and what it means. I think that a lot of groups have kind of like taken advantage of that meaning or saying and what it really means. I mean, we all can look back at the Matrix and the whole thing about the blue and the red pill, and then the red pill is going to give you, it's going to awaken you. You're going to know what's going around you that's in reality. But we see people like Jordan Peterson who apparently is waking up or red pilling millions of people. But the man will not go further down and discuss events like Israel doing the wrong way, or the fact that there's something that's trying to divide the white race. Let's say he won't go that further down. So I understand that people talk about the black pill, the white pill, and all that stuff, and I understand all that. But it seems like everybody on the right is basically just taking this word of red pilling. Even people like Ben Shapiro is claimed to have red pilled millions of people. It's strange because of how uh, they talk about it in the movie, The Matrix, that you're going to see everything, you're going to see reality. Well, are you really seeing that, or are you just seeing the version of reality that you want to see? You're not really taking away all or stripping away all of the cultural Marxism that we've been dealing with the last 40 or 50 years. You're seeing things that you are, let's say, concerned about and say, oh, I want to talk about that, but you don't want to go further down. I talked about this probably about 2 years ago when I started talking about the rabbit hole. And at the top of the rabbit hole is those people who are against, let's say they're men's rights activists or anti-feminists, looking at the family courts, female nature. That's a little bit further down the rabbit hole, and it goes all the way down. And then I don't want to say that the end of the bottom at the bottom of the rabbit hole is the alt right, but if you say the top of the rabbit hole when you first have the red pill, we're talking about things that people don't want to talk about. They don't want to discuss, let's say, like rape culture or the pay gap or 1 in 4 women are raped in their lifetime. Nobody wants to really dispute those things because they'll be called either a sexist or if you're talking about black crime, racist, things like that. So that's all at the top of that rabbit hole, and maybe a little bit further in the rabbit hole, depending on what you're talking about. People don't really want to say anything bad about black people, and you don't want to say anything bad about women who lie about being raped. People don't want to go that way because a lot of men still blame other men just for an accusation. They'll just say that he probably did it or something. Also, at the top of that whole thing is the pay gap. So when you start going down and you start researching and you say, oh, I really get into this anti-feminism or the pay gap is bullshit, or and you you go further and further forward, but you won't go all the way down to the bottom of it. And I think at the bottom of that, whatever this thing is, where there's a different type of pill, like black pill, which is more nihilism, and I'll talk about that a little bit. Um, at the bottom of it is those things you can't talk about, that you're going to go to jail if you bring it up. So if you're talking about the Holocaust, if you want to talk about anything that might deal with white or preferization, anybody at the alt right is talking about, you might go to jail by saying things like that. You'll be considered a racist, but you also have the state that wants to imprison you for wrongthink. You don't really going to go to jail so much by saying things about anti-feminism, but you might be called out. You might get your Twitter handle taken off. You might get your videos demonetized on YouTube. But you're probably still going to be okay. You're not going to go to jail with it. Although in some countries they're trying to go that way, so they're going to further down the thing. So I guess that the thing I talk about being the red pill. The idea is there is another community out there that's been using that name for a lot. They basically that's how the red pill came through, and that's the MGTOW community. And this is something that I just need to get out there. As somebody who has followed the idea of the MGTOW and when they talk about female nature, and because I think men's rights advocates and MGTOWs are somewhat tied together. Although when I had this conversation with some of the bigger MGTOWs out there, they said they don't really care about that because they don't believe that anything will ever change. So they're going to be just away from the system altogether. So when they talk about being red pilled, what are they really being red pilled? The fact that family courts suck for men on average, or that women are going to always try to change up when it comes to financial and protection. That's what they're going to do. That other men are going to throw you underneath the bus. These are things that most guys know inherently. Now, you don't think that you're going to marry a woman and she's going to take everything away from you. All the studies out now says that people are getting less and less. They're getting married. So there is an effect of all this. So you're trying to be in red pilled. So you're basically trying to get away from society, and you're not going to be part of this situation. But really, what this is, the MGTOW movement, is really a result of cultural Marxism. It's what they want to happen. So, as much as I follow some of what they talk about, this idea that men should just get away from society because society is so bad for them, well, that actually try to change the society to get it back to where it was, to just take all that shit off of you and say we're going to do it better and be have more due process, let's say, and we're going to look at men as equal in society as we give the women. Women have all the value in society because they protect the species, and there's something to that. And men have value when they defend or they build stuff and something like that. And the culture right now is not really valuing men. That's why we kill ourselves more and all that other stuff. All that stuff that I got into when I woke up 4 or 5 years ago, male suicide, the pay cap myth, all that stuff, and it led me down where I am right now. But I'm just thinking about this and how the victims of all this is those people that follow that type of philosophy of MGTOW. I just wish that I think they're like a victim of cultural Marxism, and they just can't wake up to see what else could they do for it, and just take basically the black pill and being nihilistic and say, it'll never get changed, so I'm just going to do it for myself. I'm going to work out. This is their tenets, and eat well and look at women as just tools for their sexual gratification. I think that we do better. I think that we can change. We can go back to where we were before. I think that if we became leaders in society and basically railed in our women, that it would be better for everybody. I'm not saying we're going to be Sharia law or anything like that, but the idea that we've allowed all these things to happen on the guise of progressivism, with abortion on demand, basically, divorce on demand, basically, to celebrate single motherhood, to accept fat people, let's say, not shame them like we used to. I mean, when I was growing up, I've always carried a little bit of weight on me, and people used to say shit to me all the time. I didn't kill myself for it. It's something that you do that says that you're not just be part of a group, let's say, but it will say, hey, dude, this is not right. And everything that when you're bullied in school, it's not always a bad thing that happens to you. And depending if you really, I never looked at it as bullying. Let's say I just said that somebody called me fat. It's like, yeah, I guess I am in a way. Yes, there are some guys that have issues that it's not their fault, but that's not the vast majority in the United States. About 65% of us are overweight. I think that Black Pigeon Speech put a video out the other day. He's talking about this. There's just in the last 40 or 50 years, women's weight has gone up like 60%. It's just, and men have been about 40%, but it's just so crazy. And everything's involved with this. And then when you don't have any pride in your figure or how you look, you're going to also not have any pride about your history or your heritage. It's all related. So the idea of being red-pilled, and all these people have been waking up, and Generation Z is so red-pilled, but are they really? I think that they're still part of, they're open up a little bit, They might look at things a little bit more. They might debate certain things. But I don't see anybody marching in Washington, D.C., talking about men's rights. I don't see anybody going up and do anything about the family courts. Um, the, the domestic violence, which is basically reciprocal. It's about the same amount, depending on who you are. It's not really gender specific. All we see on TV is basically it's men hitting women, and all these men have to come out and say, hey, you got to stop doing it. Oh, okay, thank you for letting me know that. So I'm just thinking about this, and I'm thinking about, yeah, Peterson waked up millions of people with that interview he did at Channel 4. Okay, what are they going to do? They're going to make their beds? What have they really... Yeah, he's a conduit to the more wide open awakening that you have to have. Just because you understand that in these areas, well, there's some issues here, and I was wrong about it, or the media was wrong about it. We're not pressing people further enough down that rabbit hole. And again, I'm not necessarily saying that it has to go down to the alt-right and every white person should go down here to this. You know, it might be, the truth is that Black Panther were actually red pill more white people than any other one in the world. Because the whole thing is that movie is about an ethno-state. So, an idea that's so fantasized that somehow people, real black people on Twitter, think that this is what would happen if, quote unquote, the white people did not colonize Africa. That they'd be driving around or flying around in cars. What? It makes you wonder sometimes. I hope the or the movie's good. Obviously I'm not looking at the critics. I don't care what they say. I'll probably watch it. I won't go to the movie to see it, but I'll watch it at some point when it comes out on wherever it comes out on. I don't really care about him having a movie that's 90% black. I don't really care. I don't understand why every media outlet is saying that this is the biggest thing ever, that it's means something to the rest of Hollywood and the United States when Hollywood isn't the United States. I'm kind of rambling here, but the idea is this. Every time I hear about this person who's got red pilled and all this stuff, and I'm like, well, did he really? Are they really that awake? I'm not saying that I'm more awake than anybody else. I just think when somebody starts going down this way, how can you stop at one area? If you're about free speech, how could all of a sudden you can just stop just above talking about the Holocaust or just above about talking about Israel? Like the Tree of Logic. Like I said before, she was a darling of the alt-right, black woman, Amazon-looking woman. But she has issues with people talking about Israel because you can't say bad things about Israel. And Israel and Jewish people have so much power in this country when they have no money, or they have few people, and they have so much influence in this country. But we don't want to talk about it. And if we do, you know what happens in this country. If you say anything about anything, they're going to bang you, and stuff like that. Ban you. And Jewish people, the media especially, they're online, on Twitter, and they say such shit, anti-white shit so much on Twitter. And then I'm not white, I'm Jewish. I've talked about this before. Can we get to a point where we red pill enough? And I'm talking about red pill that you understand everything. Did you understand what white genocide means? That we're being replaced in our own countries, and that you have some sort of inborn defense to that says, I don't want this to happen. I want to protect my people. I'm not sure that we're going to get there. Hopefully we will. And if Hollywood still makes more of these movies where it divides people based on SJWs and all that stuff, and maybe a small percentage of those people will go further down that rabbit hole and say there's more here. Why can't we talk about this in this country? Why in Germany they can't talk about the Holocaust? Why in France you can't talk about the Holocaust? Why? Why is it if you're about free speech that you can't talk about it? So That's really all to talk about today with this phone going. I just want to let you know that's what I was talking about. And if you have any comments below, just let me know. And we'll talk to you later. You guys have a good day. Goodbye.